What's that smell?
That's money. Next time on Landman.
Why don't you come with me? Let me show you the future.
The future? Do you have a crystal ball?
I think maybe so.
This is my crew now. Yes or no?
If this thing doesn't work, it's our ass.
I understand it now.
To understand why this trailer hits the way it does, you have to go back to where Season 2 left things. Because on the surface, the ending wasn't a disaster. Tommy had a plan. He had people around him. He had funding, a structure, a new company being built around names he trusted. Cooper and Ariana were moving towards something real. Tommy and Angela made the decision to get married again. By Landman standards, that was practically a fairy tale ending. And that's exactly the problem. Anyone who has spent serious time with Taylor Sheridan's work knows that stability in his stories is never a destination. It's a pause. It's the universe taking a breath before it swings again. The calm at the end of Season 2 wasn't resolution. It was setup. It was the show placing all of its pieces exactly where it needed them to be so that when Season 3 begins tearing things apart, every single hit lands with maximum impact. And the trailer confirms that in the most painful way possible. What the trailer opens with isn't action. It isn't a business deal or a confrontation or someone making a power move. It opens with stillness. And in Sheridan's world, stillness is almost always more frightening than anything loud. Because the loud moments, the arguments, the threats, the violence, those you can see coming. The quiet ones are the ones that change everything. The ones that happen in a single conversation, in a glance across a room, in the moment someone realizes that the person they trusted has already made a decision without them. That's the kind of stillness the trailer opens with, and it sets the tone for everything that follows. Tommy is at the center of it, as he almost always is. But something is different about how he's being framed this time. In previous seasons, Tommy carried himself with a particular kind of energy. Tired, yes, but functional. He was someone who knew how to absorb pressure and keep moving. The trailer suggests that Season 3 is going to test whether that's still true. Because the pressure coming his way isn't just professional. It's personal. It's the kind that gets inside you and makes it hard to think clearly. And for someone like Tommy, whose entire value to the people around him has always been his ability to think clearly under impossible circumstances, that is a very dangerous place to be. The new company he built at the end of Season 2 is already facing turbulence. And they haven't even had time to properly get started. That's the cruel irony of it. Tommy spent so much energy putting this thing together, finding the right people, securing the funding, making sure every piece was in place. And now, before it's even had a chance to breathe, external forces are already pushing against it. This isn't surprising if you think about it. Starting fresh sounds like freedom, but it also means starting without armor. Without the weight and history of something like MTEX behind you, you're exposed in ways you might not even fully realize until someone exploits those gaps. And someone always does. What makes the situation even more complicated is who's involved. This isn't just Tommy's problem. Every person he brought into this new venture is now standing in the same exposed position. Cooper, who barely made it through the legal nightmare of last season, is now serving as president of a company that's being targeted before it's even found its footing. Nate, who revealed the uncomfortable truth about MTEX's future, is now managing finances for something that could collapse if the wrong pressure is applied at the wrong moment. Rebecca is juggling operations and legal responsibilities for a company that is, by definition, a threat to people who had grown comfortable with the old order. These are not small stakes. These are people's lives, and the trailer makes sure you feel the weight of that. Every face you see carries it. The exhaustion. The uncertainty. The specific kind of fear that comes not from not knowing what's coming, but from knowing exactly what's coming and not being sure you have enough left to survive it. And then there's Cammy. If any single thread in this trailer carries the most sadness, it's hers. Because Cammy's story has always been about someone trying to hold on. To a company, to a legacy, to the version of her life that existed before she lost Monty. The trailer shows her in a place that is hard to watch. Not because she's broken. Cammy has never been someone who breaks easily, but because she's standing at the edge of something, and it's not entirely clear which direction she's going to fall. She found out about Tommy's new company. That much seems almost certain based on what the trailer is showing. And the look on her face when that reality fully settles in is one of the most emotionally honest moments in the entire trailer. It's not rage. It's not even betrayal in the traditional sense. It's the look of someone who has just understood, fully and completely, that the world they were trying to preserve no longer exists. And now they have to figure out what to do with that. Cammie's situation is the kind that doesn't have a clean answer, and that's what makes it so compelling to watch unfold. Because she isn't a villain in this story. She never was. She's someone who got handed an impossible situation and tried to hold it together with whatever and now watching Tommy move forward with something new while she's still standing in the wreckage of what used to be. That gap between them isn't just professional. It's emotional. It's the distance between someone who has found a way to keep moving and someone who is still trying to figure out if moving is even possible. The trailer spends real time with her, which is meaningful. Sheridan doesn't give screen time to characters without intention. The fact that Cammie is being positioned so prominently in these early glimpses of Season 3 tells you that her arc is going to matter. Not as a side story, not as background tension, but as something central to what this season is actually about. And what it seems to be about, underneath all the business and the conflict and the power struggles, is the cost of loss. Not the dramatic, explosive kind of loss that happens in a single moment. The slow kind. The kind that accumulates quietly over time until one day you look around and realize that almost everything you were holding on to is already gone. That's the thread that connects Cammie's story to everything else happening in this season. Because she isn't the only one dealing with that kind of loss. Tommy is dealing with it too, just in a completely different way. He lost his position. He lost the structure that defined him professionally for years. He lost the comfort of knowing exactly where he stood and what was expected of him. The new company is his way of rebuilding, but rebuilding is never as simple as it sounds. You can put new walls up, but that doesn't mean the foundation underneath is solid. And the trailer is very deliberate about hinting that Tommy's new foundation might have cracks in it that even he hasn't fully seen yet. One of the most unsettling things the trailer does is show the people around Tommy reacting to things he doesn't seem aware of. There are moments, brief, almost easy to miss, where someone in his inner circle looks concerned in a way that doesn't match the confidence Tommy is projecting. That disconnect is subtle, but it's there and it matters. Because in Sheridan's storytelling, the danger rarely comes from the outside first. Starts from within. A misalignment of expectations. A decision someone makes without fully communicating it. A loyalty that gets tested under pressure and turns out to be slightly less solid than everyone assumed. These are the things that bring structures down. And the trailer is seeding all of them with quiet, careful precision. Cooper's position is particularly interesting to look at through this lens. On paper, being named president of a new company is a significant step forward. It's the kind of move that signals trust, that says Tommy believes in him fully and wants him at the front of whatever comes next. But Cooper's history makes that elevation complicated. He's someone who has proven he can handle pressure. But the kind of pressure that's coming in Season 3 is different from what he's faced before. Last season, the threat against him was personal and direct. Someone wanted him gone, and the effort to make that happen was visible enough that he could fight back against it. What the trailer suggests is that the threats this season are going to be less visible, more layered. The kind that don't announce themselves until you're already deep inside them. And then there's Ariana. Her presence in the trailer is quiet, but it carries weight. After everything that happened with her attacker, after the legal chaos that followed, after the fear and the uncertainty of not knowing how it was all going to land, she now finds herself in a place that should feel safe but doesn't quite. Because the resolution of last season didn't erase what happened, just closed one chapter of it. The person who died is still dead. The people who pushed hard to make sure Cooper faced serious consequences are still out there. And powerful people who feel like justice wasn't served have a way of finding other routes to the outcome they wanted. The trailer doesn't spell this out directly, but it doesn't need to. There's a specific kind of dread that this trailer builds that is different from anything the previous seasons set up in their early promotional material. It's not the dread of watching someone walk into an obvious trap. It's not the dread of a threat that's been clearly identified and is now moving toward its target. It's quieter than that, and in many ways more unsettling. It's the dread of watching people you've grown to care about move through a world that has already decided what it's going to do to them, and they don't fully know it yet. That gap between what the audience can sense and what the characters are still figuring out is where Sheridan does some of his best and most painful work. And Season 3, based on everything this trailer is showing, is going to live in that gap for a long time before it finally lets things break open. Tommy and Angela's decision to remarry is one of the storylines that carries the most complicated emotional weight in the trailer. On the surface it reads as hopeful. Two people who have been through everything together, who have hurt each other and come back to each other more times than probably makes logical sense, deciding that whatever they have between them is worth choosing again. There's something genuinely moving about that. But the trailer doesn't let it sit as simply moving. It frames that decision within a season that is already filling up with pressure and threat and instability, which means the marriage isn't just a romantic storyline. It becomes a vulnerability. Because Tommy is someone with enemies. Real ones. People who wouldn't hesitate to use the people closest to him to get to him. And Angela, for all her strength, is now going to be standing right next to him in a much more visible and permanent way at exactly the moment when standing next to Tommy might be the most dangerous place to be. Angela herself is shown in the trailer in ways that suggest she's walking into this with her eyes open, which is both reassuring and heartbreaking at the same time. She's never been naive about who Tommy is, or what his life involves. She chose him anyway, repeatedly, across 2 seasons of evidence that the choosing would never be uncomplicated. But there's a difference between choosing someone when you understand the risks in the abstract and choosing them when the risks are becoming very concrete and very close. The trailer hints that Angela is going to be confronted with that difference in season 3, and that the confrontation is going to ask something serious of her, not just emotionally but in terms of the decisions she makes and the position she puts herself in as a result of being tied to him. What's interesting is that their relationship has always functioned as a kind of emotional anchor for the show. When things between Tommy and Angela are in chaos, everything else on screen feels more unstable. When they find moments of genuine connection, even brief ones, it creates just enough warmth to keep the audience from being completely overwhelmed by the darkness surrounding everything else. The trailer seems aware of this dynamic and is using it deliberately. The moments between them that feel tender are placed right next to moments that feel threatening, creating a rhythm that keeps you emotionally off balance. You want to settle into the warmth, but the show won't let you, because it keeps reminding you of everything pressing in from the outside. Meanwhile, the business conflict at the center of season 3 is shaping up to be the most sophisticated the show has attempted so far. Previous seasons dealt with threats that were serious but relatively direct. Someone wanted control, someone wanted revenge, someone wanted to survive at the expense of everyone else. The conflict taking shape in season 3 feels more systemic than that. It's not just one person or one group coming after Tommy's new company. It's the industry itself responding to the disruption his move represents. When someone with Tommy's experience and reputation breaks away from an established structure and starts building something independent, it sends a message to everyone else operating in that space. And not everyone receives that message the same way. Some will see opportunity. Others will see a threat that needs to be managed before it gets too large to contain. The trailer shows glimpses of negotiations and meetings that carry a different energy from the deal-making we've seen in previous seasons. There's less of the straightforward tension of two sides trying to outmaneuver each other, and more of the uncomfortable